Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Javier Galindo y estamos en los estudios de Frecuencia Interna. But guess what? This podcast is going to be in English now. We're going to try to translate it into Spanish. We're going to put some how do you call? Subtitles. We will see. But this is the first English podcast that we're doing. Inner frequency, or internal frequency would be in English. But I'm so excited. Because I have a guest that we met. And you know those times when you met someone and you feel that you have met that person for so many years. You feel that that person could be your relative, your sister, your cousin, whatever. But you have that feeling where you met someone and it's like you connect with that person, and that's why I'm so excited, because I feel that this guest that we have today has a lot has a lot that we can learn from it. So her name is Kierra Audrin Duran. She is a Hispanic as well. So, Kierra, welcome to Frecuencia Interna podcast.
Thank you, Javier. It's a pleasure to be here today and to sit with you and learn from you.
How do you? This is your first time that you're in Hispanic or a Spanish podcast?
Yes.
Yes.
First time.
Nice. So it's my first time in having someone that speak English. Well, I have a lot of people who speak English, but we do it in Spanish. So thank you very much for being so brave.
Thank you for your bravery as well.
So one of the things that I like about you when we heard you on this event that we went is that you talk about how you grow up into Christianity, and me being I want to say an ex-pastor from church. Even though I believe in Jesus, one of the things that got my attention was that you grew up with that in that environment. Can you tell us a little bit how was your days when you were into the Christian church?
Yeah. Absolutely. I was introduced to the Christian church and Jesus Christ and God about the age of 10. My father was an alcoholic, and he had gone on a business trip to California, and he came back saved. And it was a transformation that I saw in my father I will never forget, because he truly was, as we will say, filled with the Holy Spirit. My father never drank again, and I knew that I just wanted to be like my dad. And so we started going to church, and as a young girl, I saw our life transform because of his improvements in his faith. And I got heavily involved in the youth leadership programs at a young age. I became a Colorado statewide young youth leader and trainer. And I took everything that I learned very seriously. I started just on my own, reading the Bible front to back. And then I would, go to school, and it was ingrained in me, and it was pretty strict. I would come home. I was not allowed to listen to any sort of music that was conservative at the time. Everything was Christian based. I would come home and have my quiet time with God. And I would sit in prayer, meditation, and I learned a lot from a gentleman named Dr. James Dobson at the time, and who was a I believe more like Pentecostal teacher. This is maybe the early, like 2001. And Wednesday nights, Saturdays, Sundays, my father became a deacon of the church, and I just wanted to follow in his footsteps. And then I just took it upon myself to continue to learn, to study, and I began to lead Bible studies. And I was on fire for God, just bringing tons of kids and my peers into the church, into these experiences, these youth experiences where we would, missions trips, where we would, essentially give our life to Jesus Christ. So those were my experiences that really molded and shaped my relationship with God. And still to this day, still have those very similar adaptations, meaning I have my quiet time.
And what do you do now?
How so? What do I do now? Meaning professionally?
I want to hear what do you do now, because it's very interesting. I mean, how you were into you wanted to become a pastor.
Oh, right,
and
right.
then
Sure.
you left. You don't go to church anymore.
No.
And the reason why I'm asking you this is because I have met so many people, Kierra, that they go to church, and for some reason they stop going to church. They abandon, I want to say, those I don't want to say beliefs, because you still believe, but they stop going to church. But then they go into this guiltiness where they stop doing things, but you keep doing other things, where you're helping so many people, and you believe, I want to say, you believe in God in a different way, not the way the churches teaches. Can you tell us?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, before I share my story, I would like to say that I have very real experiences with Jesus Christ still to this day. And I actually met Yeshua before I started going to church as a young girl. But we don't have to go into that. So I started, again, like I was sharing, I was heavily involved in youth leadership in the state of Colorado and in the United States. And at the age of 14, I was at a church camp. And again, this is like, I was young organizer, age 14, youth leader, and there was an experience that I had where we were in service, and the pastor at the time, he was a Pentecostal pastor from somewhere in the South, maybe, I can't say where, and he had asked for us to come forward, and he was calling on, speaking in tongues, and for us to essentially, like, whoever needed to come forward to be saved to come forward. And I was usually that person that went right to the altar, and just whatever I needed to do in the moment to deepen my relationship with God, that's what I was doing. But I felt this pull to go to the back. And I was not going to do that, because it was like the bad kids, like the people who were like, oh, I'm not going up there, I'm not being a part of that. Like, you can't take me up there. I was finding myself going to the back, and for some reason, that was just not a behavior. Everybody knew I was one of those people, front and center, right in front, and I was here to be saved or whatever I needed, and to support those and pray with those that were ready to give their self to the Lord. But this experience was different. I felt the intuition, now that I know as the intuition to pull back. And so I listened to that, and when I did that, and now I know it was like my spirit, my soul, and God protecting me. I had this experience where light hit my brow, or today I would say my third eye. And the light hit my brow, and all of a sudden, I just started speaking in tongues, and I started speaking in tongues, and then I could see, and I was coherent, cognitive, aware of what my surroundings were. But I started writing in different languages. I had my journal that I would take notes. I was always highlighting and taking notes of the Bible and just everything, because I was also a teacher. And so I just started writing in this different language at the same time I was speaking. And then I started having visions. And these visions were so surreal. I started seeing the planets, I started seeing the sun, and I was hearing what I will say, the voice of God, or the Holy Spirit, if you will. And how the celestial bodies were moving, and God was telling me this is going to happen on the earth. And everything was moving so fast, I just had to write it down. This experience lasted for about 13 hours. And it wasn't like a loud, yelling. It was in my own humble space with God. But then it just didn't stop. It didn't stop. It consumed me. And it frightened people, because they had never seen anything like it.
So you were at that camp that you said when that happened?
This was public.
Oh, okay.
Around
Okay.
about 300 people.
Wow. Okay.
It was pretty traumatic. So so they tried quieting me, and because the pastor needed to move forward with the sermon. And I would try to talk in English. I said, well, this is what you asked for. You asked for this. You asked. And they took my Bible and they took my journals. And all I could do was just just write and try to tell people what was coming. In these moments, I also met a being named Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
And I had access to all these realms. That's as best as I can say. They ended up, I don't know time, I was 14-year-old girl, young woman, away from my parents, and they ended up lifting my body, taking me to a different room. I had to go through 2 public exorcisms, because in that moment they couldn't shut me up. They didn't understand what was happening, but I would say, no, this is God. And I went from one day of being like the youth leader, the golden child, if you will, to a demonic being in their eyes. And then it started the process of being excommunicated from my family, being shunned at church, isolation. And that started the process of deepening my true relationship with God.
Wow. How many people you think they go through that, and then they don't have the opportunity that you have now to see, that it's not the demon, that it's something else? Because there is a lot of people that go through the same thing, and they get scared, wow, that's awesome. And then what happened? Yeah. I'm all into the story.
Sure. So I continued essentially what I had learned. I kept on praying, and I thought, okay, well, I guess if I'm possessed, I need to get saved again. And I was on my way to be a youth pastor at Lee University in Chattanooga, Tennessee. At this time, I already had a full ride scholarship for academics, athletics, and my involvement in the church in Colorado. So I already knew my path. And I had this guilt, this shame, this guilt. God, why? Why am I a demon now? Or why are my peers or the people that I love or the church or everything that you have, sorry, I'm even emotional. Everything that you've told me to do, I'm following through. I'm doing everything right. Why am I shunned? And God said, do not listen to them. You're my child. And no one could take that from me. No one. And so I got saved again, got baptized again. And then through the traumas in my teenage years of this push and this pull, fighting my parents, saying, no, this is from God, but still, performing, providing for myself, going to school, graduated early, just a pretty evolved young woman at this time. I was still suffering from this deep traumatic experience in the church and not being heard or understood, feeling very alone and isolated. And so, age 17, I got saved again. And because I was so filled with shame and guilt that I was not doing the things that I had learned in the church. But
Wait.
Go ahead.
When you said I was saved again, what do you mean with that?
What I mean by that is a process of getting on my knees, begging for forgiveness, asking Jesus Christ into my heart. Because I felt that I was not good enough, and then being baptized in water.
Okay.
That was the process.
So you did 3 times?
I got baptized 3 times.
Okay.
In my life.
Okay.
3 times. Maybe significant, I don't know.
Okay.
And so God said, I don't want you to go to church. And I tried telling my parents, and they would literally sometimes drag me. And then I made a promise to God. I said, okay, when I'm 18, I left the house earlier than that. But I said, I will go to church up until the age of 18. And I will never go back unless it's a funeral or a wedding. And that's what I've been doing. And then God said, learn from the earth. Listen to me. And the language started coming back. The vision started coming back. Oh, prior to this, my healing abilities started about 2 years later. So I didn't have any knowledge of healing abilities. God would say, if I had pain, God would say, put your hands and put gold light there. And I said, well, this is weird, but the only example I had as a hands-on healer was Jesus. So I said, okay, well, you did this, so why can't I? And so I would feel the energy. I'll say now the energy or multiple frequencies, vibrations. But what has been consistent to now I'll come back is I started my path as a healer. Then I didn't know where I was going, but God said, I'm giving you these gifts, but also learn from the earth and just follow me.
That's I'm glad that you say that, because I have pretty much the same experience. When I was in Argentina, I was talking to you before we started the podcast. I was into church. We were co-pastors from this Hispanic church, Christian church, and I heard the voice of God saying that I needed to leave church, that I needed to do what I'm doing to the world. And I got so scared. To be honest with you, I got so scared because I didn't know. I wasn't sure if that was from God, if that really was from God, or if it was from me, something that I was creating in my head. But I'm sure, I'm sure that it was God. It was the intuition. It was the Holy Spirit telling me that I needed to leave church. And I felt so guilty for so many years until now. Now, that is in my past. And now I know when God talks to me. And sometimes we think, now that you're saying, sometimes we think that God is going to tell us, no, stay there. You got to follow this, you got to follow that. But sometimes it's not that, and I'm glad that you're saying that, because now I feel like, oh, okay, this is the first time I hear someone else saying that, that is not bad. So tell us more. So you started your healing process, and now what do you do now?
Right. So to this day, okay, sure. So I started getting curious. I started getting curious. What is this vibration? Why can I see colors? Why can I see inside of the body? How come when I touch somebody, I can see their memories? And it started at a young age. Why can I feel so deeply and want and be guided to know what to do for them? but not even have the means of communication at times.
Mm-hmm.
So I got curious and I started to go to college. Um, I was a student at CU Boulder, and then I quit
Mm-hmm.
and I came home. And I started, well, prior to that, let me backtrack. God started teaching me to use sound healing and crystals at the age of 19 to
Mm-hmm.
heal the body.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my gosh, yep, I really am a demon child. Here I am working with crystals and like sound, and what is this? And back in the day, well, I say back in the day, but like about 2005, 2006, this was still, and even till today, taboo
Mm.
to some schools of thought or communities. And God was like, no, I'm teaching you. I said, okay. And so then I went to school and I started studying with shamans.
Mm.
And I started learning. I'm also Native American from the Pequot and Cherokee nations. And so I also knew that this was in me. The healing was in me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to honor my ancestors and get curious. And anyways, I started my healing practice for those souls that were open. I went to massage school, and then I started teaching Reiki at the age of 20. I opened my first healing business at the age of 21. I went to yoga school. I'm a mother. I have 3 children, 3 beautiful children. And the path of my business and what I do in the world today has always been the same, meaning it's based in the accessing the healing frequencies and our innate abilities to heal and have a deeper relationship and connection with God. I myself, God has walked me through the path of beating addiction and homelessness, domestic violence survivor, and also helping other people move through these traumas. Not too long ago, I also lost mobility to walk, and God said, I taught you how to heal cancer. I taught you how these things, you know it's in you. It's time for you to apply it to you now. Ooh. So today, I still go back to the basics, which is, what do you want me to do? What are you teaching me in this moment?
So what happened? What happened to you that you lost mobility?
Sure. To be honest, nobody knows. The doctor, my great doctor, beautiful doctor, I love him so much. He's saved my life literally a few times. He's from Costa Rica. And something happened in my pregnancy, with my 3rd child. I was carrying her, and I have a 7 millimeter impingement on my spinal cord, spinal stenosis, 5 herniated discs, and my bones are displaced. So anyway, I knew through not only my training and my very real experiences of being a healer or a shaman, I had seen cancer heal, lab work come back different, manipulating bones and just asking the body and running these energies, these frequencies, and just holding this love for the people that I was in service to, but I hadn't been doing it to myself. So medically, we don't know what happened because pregnancy was normal, no complications. I was always really active. But when my baby came out, I couldn't walk.
You know, something came to my mind. I remember back in 2005, around 2005, me and my wife, we had a minister that we used to help a lot of people with emotional problems. And this guy came from, I think, Argentina. And he was a pastor or apostle, something like that. And he came to visit us. And then I remember that he told me that I needed to be careful because he said that working with other spirits, which we know, if we work with energy or whatever, working with other spirits, those spirits can come to us. So I remember that was the first time that I heard someone saying that I should be careful, because if not, that depression that I was trying to cure, it was gonna come to me. And I got so scared. I remember I got so scared, and I was like, what if that's true, what if, because sometimes, when you're a healer and you help people, you gotta be careful with that energy too. So you don't think that happened to you? You don't think that maybe everything that you were doing in some sort came to you?
I'm gonna answer that in
Yeah, yeah.
two different ways. When I was 12 years old, it was the first time God taught me to extract demons.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
There was this young girl that was possessed, and I was at a sleepover, and they had a Ouija board.
Mm.
Ooh. And it was very real. That thing started moving, and there was something that flew out of there, and I could see, and it went in this girl, and I was like, oh my gosh. And she was possessed for about 3 weeks
Wow.
at school. And God told me one day, and this is before the light and everything.
Yeah.
I think I'm in 7th grade. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in 7th grade. And God said, take a mirror to school. And I took a mirror to school, and I said, okay, in this moment at lunch, I'm going to get this out of her. And God was telling me what to do. I cornered her, this demon in this body, took a mirror, put it in front of her eyes, and with the blood of Jesus, praying,
Yeah,
and everything,
yeah.
pulled it out of her. And then I could, I didn't know what I could see, but I could see these realms, and I just sent it back to God, and then prayed over myself.
Uh-huh.
Fast forward, what I found in my spine was all my trauma.
Uh-huh.
So I learned through my process of, yes, these spirits, these demons, these lower forces, these lower entities, these tricksters, they're very real. But they have no power over us.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when we are in our knowing and our presence with the divine. Nothing can come in. Period. Unless we are in the vibration of fear. Or we are empathetic. As a trainer, this is what I teach my, I almost said my children, but my people that I'm so very blessed to serve. But if we identify with the emotions and the stories, and we drop our frequency, then we're an energetic match for that. However, what I found in my spine was abandonment.
Okay.
Not being the stories and the very real experiences of my traumas. The not feeling safe in the body, the not feeling supported as a young mother, and I didn't go deep enough into my own healing, because even everything I'm sharing with all of you, I still built this practice on pain.
Wow. That's beautiful, because and that's what we do. That's what we do when we do therapy for someone and they come here to get healed. We find so many traumas in the body. There's a saying that they said the body talks when you shut down, something like that. I don't know how to say in English, but something like that. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm just asking you that question, because it just came to my mind. And but I believe so that whenever the people who has the gift, because it's a gift, right? It's a gift to be a healer. When you have the gift, you also have the protection of the divine. You have the protection of God, and I think we shouldn't be scared to keep doing this. But I remember back then I got scared because I didn't know who I was protected from. Yeah. So that's beautiful, very nice. So what happened with the people who know you from church and all of this, your family? What happened now? Like,
Right. So back in the day, I was excommunicated. Once I stopped going to church, my nobody would talk to me. I knew too much. I could now see inside of them. And I'm vocal. I'm a talker. I'm a talker, and then and so if I see an untruth and it's projected onto me, I'll challenge it because I see it. And I love you so much, I'm not going to allow you to do that to you or me. And I allowed myself to move away from the church, and I was still harboring pain. However, I have had some of the most beautiful experiences of some of my old friends from the church come back to me and say, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I've gotten I didn't need it, but I've received the confirmation, the validation from my inner child, and apologies, because then they started going through the process 15, almost 20 years later. And so, I mean, nurturing those relationships in this present moment are not for me because I'm more focused on my work in the world, but it was so beautiful for some of my peers at the time who shunned me, for them to come full circle and say, oh, this happened, and I'm sorry for how I treated you back then. I'm sorry I didn't understand. Will you forgive me? Of course. Of course, yeah. So I've had some of these experiences, including for, my old youth pastor.
How about your family?
I am in non-communication with my mother and father, but the rest of my family, I have beautiful, deep, loving experiences with.
That's beautiful. And I think when someone takes that path, of being, I want to say, different than everyone else, I think there is a I want you to tell us a little bit about that, because I have friends. We got together 2 days ago. There is 5 of us in the community that we are always serving, and we want to create a man mastermind. And we all agree that when you start serving, when you start, doing all of this, healer, whatever you do, it's like a loneliness path. It's kind of like a lot of people don't understand you, and you don't want to be on that vibration, of the commune, like on whatever, like common people, I don't.
I understand.
Yeah. So, because my calling, for example, and their calling is to serve and to be different, to be an example, and a lot of people don't understand you. And it's not that you don't want to hang out with other people that doesn't believe on what you believe. It's not that. It's just that vibration is not there. It's not the same. And it's like you're speaking different language. So at the end, the price to pay, I think it's a lot of loneliness. Is that happened to you?
Oh, absolutely. I had to embrace that. Let's see, I'm 35, so what, 21 years ago? Yeah. 20, whatever the math is. 29. No, 30, whatever, 19. I'm not that old. Maybe I am. I don't know. Who knows? So I learned that at a young age. Well, through this experience, my friends didn't understand me anymore. My family didn't. Even when I went to college, I found solace in the healing path at a young time, but even when I had my mentors, they didn't understand me. I was still on like a different wavelength. I'm like, okay, well, what is this, God? And even still, I experience the loneliness, and it's a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift because then I can deepen my relationship with the divine, but also it's a tremendous gift when I meet people who are on that same wavelength. Like, I'm not alone. I see you, my brother. I see you, my sister. We're here together, and we're moving forward on this path of our loneliness, but also in a community.
Yes.
Because truly I believe that we have these primal instincts to where we all want to belong. We're created to belong to each other, with each other. We're one community, and I believe that we are created to be in community.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, our experience of life is alone, only in our own mind, only in our own body, only in our own heart, and that is contingent on how much we feel alone or connection based upon how deep we go with the divine. So I feel like there's, it comes with being human.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a
Yes.
gift when we can connect.
Yeah, and I think I was hearing who was it? Have you ever heard Ed Milet?
Mm.
He's a speaker, motivational speaker. Tony Robbins, like Tony Robbins, and even they were saying, even Kyle Cease.
Uh-huh.
Kyle Cease talk about how sometimes the price to pay when you take this path, it's loneliness. You feel that loneliness, and sometimes a lot of people want to quit because of that. They want to fit
Sure.
to whatever the world is offering, and I don't, in my experience, I don't want that. I prefer this loneliness, but I prefer to feel what I feel now. Even doing this, what we're doing, um, uh, trying to be in the right path, sometimes you feel like throwing the towel. Imagine if I go back to live, what I used to live. Is like, no, it's like I don't know. It's hard for me to understand. So that's why I want to thank you, and I want to appreciate everything that you're doing, and everything that this event where we went in Sedona, what all these beautiful people are doing, because it's like the world needs this. I think that if we follow that guidance, if we follow that intuition, just how you said, it's always gonna be to the best of all, not just the best for us. It's gonna be the best for everyone, every human being. David Hawkins talks about frequency, a lot about frequency. And I think Kaios was saying that whenever someone goes up to 400, 500, 600, I forgot what he said, but we can heal thousands of people.
Right.
If only one person heal himself itself, we can heal a lot of people. So that energy, or that spirit, whatever, how we want to call it, it's spreading to a lot of people, and that's why we do this type of podcast. So that's why I want to thank you for everything that you're doing. And where can people find you?
Sure. People can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and KierraAudrin.com.
Okay, and we're gonna put it here under here. And other thing, I heard that you help business as well.
Yes.
Right? What's your role
Sure.
on that?
So, the way that I work with intuitive professionals and spiritual entrepreneurs in the world is three ways. And it's usually all three ways together. Is I train them in what I call their quantum senses.
Mm-hmm.
So that way they can understand their senses, their healing abilities, their innate technology, which is their body. Okay. Oftentimes that's taking them through their deeper connection in their healing journey. So they are more available for their work in the world. I help them with social media, business marketing plans, content, and brand extension strategies. And I help them with facilitation. So learning to be a facilitator, and I'm also a yoga teacher. So sometimes it's body movement, somatic movement that they can adopt, so that way when they scale their business or they move into the next version of themselves, the next up level, whatever it is, they have the tools that they can revisit in their nervous system over and over, so that way they can continue to expand. Because in my experience, we go down and we spiral up, we meet another lesson and we go up again, and okay, so it's an ebb and flow. And so in over 16 years, I've learned these three components is maybe what we can acquire within for the material world to be successful, whatever that means, to bring your gifts, your true authentic self and voice into the marketplace.
Nice. Nice. Once again, your Facebook?
Kierra Audrin.
Duran.
You'll find it. My last name is Duran, and you will find me as Kierra Audrin online.
Okay, so that's Instagram and Facebook, right?
And TikTok.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, and I hope we have you here more often, and let's see what we can do together. For the community, for the Hispanic community, and once again, thank you for being here, and you're gonna bless us because you're the first English speaking people that we have in our podcast. So thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos en su canal Frecuencia Interna. Recuerden que nos pueden encontrar en YouTube, Frecuencia Interna. You can find us on YouTube by Frecuencia Interna Podcast. Thank you very much, and God bless you.